Saturdays at 1 p.m. Make sure you're watching WoodwardSports.com for our new show, Chompin.
He shoots! He scores!
With four-time Stanley Cup champion Darren McCarty and Michael Gentry, Chompin is taking the Detroit hockey community and giving them a voice. Pros to Joes. You'll get the best Detroit hockey coverage around. Chompin' Saturdays 1 p.m. on WoodwardSports.com.
What's going on, folks? Welcome. Happy Saturday to you all. Four-time Stanley Cup champion Darren McCarty. Right here, that's Michael Gentry. He's got none. Hasn't been drank out of the cup yet. But we're working on it. Yes, have a happy Saturday. We're here to talk Red Wings. Obviously, if it's a Saturday, we're recording this on Wednesday, so I don't really give a shit what happened against Tampa. All that I want to know is where I'm going to start here with our year in review and what we remember. Is Dylan Larkin. I hope he gets a goal, set his career record of 33 goals for the season. But I'm going to start with the captain here. In a prove-it season where he had a contract on the line, he's gone out and done everything that I've expected him to do, not only lead this team, but also point-a-game guy. Now, I will sit here and tell you this till the cows come home. When Dylan Larkin is your 2C, your number 2 centerman, you are a Stanley Cup contending team. Now, a few more pieces have to be put in place, but that's what I like. I would pay my guy $8.5 million as a point-a-game player and also the leader in my dressing room. I couldn't be happy with Dylan Larkin. As everybody knows, I call him King Arthur. We're all Knights of the Round Table, Stevie's Merlin. We're moving on. So the $8.5 million contract, it's nice to get it out of the way.
Yep.
And I think, Michael, one of the things that when talking about Dylan Larkin is we go back to early in the season, and from day one, he's brought it. You were mentioning that one of your favorite plays earlier in the season was brought to you by Dylan Larkin, and I think it really set the tone of how he was going to play and lead this team.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the play I was talking about was the play, I think it was like 4 games in against Los Angeles, where Dylan Larkin made the diving poke check on the empty netter and stopped the goal. I think that was Adrian Kemp. I could be wrong, but I just think that kind of like those plays early in the season kind of instilled like what this team is fighting for and what this team's going to do. Like the short little plays, Dylan Larkin leading this team, earning his contract was just one of the many bright spots. But another one I want to talk about was the emergence of Jake Wallman. And I don't think anyone could have expected him to be this good, but seeing him and Mo Seider become a pair after you had Ben Sherrod in there with Mo Seider and they were struggling there back and forth, to see Wallman come and fit right in and be the perfect pair to Mo Seider had to be at least one of my favorite moments of the year, and him hitting the gritty.
Well, yeah.
The him hitting the gritty was top tier, so I love that.
Well, I haven't really gone over it with you two, but I'm going to use executive power and give Jake Wallman the most underrated award of the season. But what I want to touch on Jake Wallman is proof of what Steve Yzerman has done and will do, is going out and using his scouting staff in the professional ranks and the Kirk Malpes and using guys like this that watch hockey and picking guys off other teams' rosters. It seems that we do a good job getting guys from St. Louis and the Fabries and the Hussos and the Wallmans, but
Sonny.
a couple things I want to focus on with that. You mentioned Mo Seider playing with Ben Sherrod early, and pull the curtain back a little bit, is that why you want to do that in his second year as Mo was growing, is you want to give him some sort of protection and not have to play as physical. Well, that didn't work, because what does Mo need? He needs a mobility guy, a guy that can skate the puck, can open him up and let him play a little bit more physically, and that's where Wallman absolutely took that opportunity and ran with it, and is going to be an integral part of this team. Moving forward, it's also, yes, the draft picks that you have to hit on, but it's also building your team through some guys that don't work out in other organizations, and Jake Wallman is a prime example of that. How about you, Spenny? You got anyone specific that stood out to you this year you want to give some flowers to?
Yeah, well, Rasmussen, before he got injured, man, I thought he was playing great. He obviously using his big body, being physical, a good front net presence. And before he got injured, I thought he was really a cog that helped this team move. And then when that period where they were fighting in playoff contention, and that trip they had out to Western Canada where they were going out there and they were laying teams down and playing well, it was just a good vibe to have that kind of winning playoff mentality hockey back, and it felt really good. But yeah, that, and then Big Rass, man, hopefully he recovers from the injury, comes back and continues to play as he did this season before he got hurt.
You know what's sick though is that you bring, and I've totally not forgotten
but
what a great season he was, but you lost your stir stick.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When Michael Rassman, who the moved from center to wing, learning how to play, learning means in all different situations, he is the integral part and one of the heartbeats of this team. And when you lost him in that Ottawa, right around that Ottawa series, and things have gone downhill from then.
Yeah.
That's a good sign. Hopefully he was definitely one of the most, if we're going to say Waldman was underrated, most improved player this year.
Yeah.
And moving forward at that size and learning how to use it to his advantage. So, yes, big asset coming back next year, size and body-wise. You know, for me, I also think, which was such an integral part, and I move it as is the free agent signings that Stevie did. The David Perron and what he's meant to the competitiveness in this lineup. And when I talk about David Perron, I talk about Ben Sherratt in the same way. Which tells you a lot about that old school mentality. I remember in November when we were doing the anniversary of the 97-98 Cup celebrations, and we were on the ice and we looked on the bench, and it was Sherratt and Perron who were watching the celebration. You know, they grew up, and that really cyclical to tell you that part of the group, but it's about culture moving forward and stuff like that. So I thought Stevie did that. You know, you look at Kubalik, 20-goal guy. At $2.5 million a year. You know, different. Anybody else you want to give some flowers to?
I would say Yanni Burgers. I think he has kind of been bounced around in the lineup. Obviously, you've seen him on the power play to begin like his tenure with the Wings this year, and then you kind of seen him bounce around the third, fourth line. He's gotten some looks on the second, but I think that's a guy that's really, whenever he's been called upon, he's really stepped up to the occasion. He's very good at goal scoring, and he's a very poised player just in general. I think he can do a lot of different things, and to kind of see him make that jump, he's right around 40 points already his first year. That's very good for a guy I don't think that had very many expectations, if any, coming into this year.
15 goals is big. First year guy adjusting, just continue to be able to put the puck in the net and figuring it out. I think we can see him growing, you know, every game, if not a few weeks. He's going to be an integral part of this team moving forward. You know, and I think, you know, a lot of it, you know, early on with injuries and stuff like this, but I don't think we saw the full complement of what Andrew Kopp is going to bring to you. I think we saw flashes of it, but coming off the you know, the groin surgery and stuff like this really takes a year. I've had 3 of them. You're never really right, so hopefully a full season these guys can get healthy. I think the fact, you know, at the end of the day, the bad taste in your mouth, and now decisions have to be made, but the bad taste in your mouth of having that, because you remember that week, people were talking about car flags.
Yeah.
You only talk about car flags when it's playoffs. We better get them ready for next year. There'll be no excuse. But the car flags were ready. We were pumped. That just goes to show you the consistency of what we can get to. And, you know, I also believe, right, goaltending's got to be better. What did Ville Husso prove? He proved that he can be that guy for 35, 40 games, but can he carry the load for the duration? We can all agree that if you asked Alex Nedeljkovic, who I love as a person, that he needs to be better. Marcus Hellberg, I don't know about the future. You know, you look at what Sebastian Cossa has done down in Toledo. Well, next year it'll be his turn to step up to Grand Rapids for a full season. Or is Steve Yzerman going to use that salary cap or draft capital or whatever to go out and get a goalie out there? Is there a guy out there that he really likes to stabilize this thing? Still positions to be earned, positions to be played. We haven't talked about even the younger guys. One of the things I wanted to touch about, which is such a positive sign, is the fact that you got Steve Yzerman, who's been here for 3 years, right, coming with all his first rounders in the lineup at one point. Now I know Marco Pacasper only played one, but as an 18-year-old getting in your lineup, that's what other great teams do, right? So future's brighter. Didn't end the way we wanted, obviously, but that's how I look at it. If I'm gonna rate this season, I'm gonna give these guys a solid B. Yeah, this was a solid B year, and I saw a lot of growth.
No, I agree with that grade. I would put it right around there too. But I just kind of want to touch on something you said. out of all the players that Yzerman has acquired via trade or free agency, so the Blues guys, the Sherratts, the Kubaliks, the Mata, who has been the biggest impact so far in year one? Because I'm going to go with David Perron, but I think there's a lot of ways that you can answer.
You brought up Ole Mata, right? And he's not going to get the shine that he deserves because he's that stay-at-home guy, but the stability that he brings. It's all those guys. Yeah. David Perron because of leadership, because of the not quit, because of the message you hear coming out of it. The biggest thing that I take is that these guys like each other. They play hard for each other. Now it's about playing smarter, and it's about getting better, but they're young. Yeah. Right, and Dylan Larkin's, what is he going into his 8th year next year, stuff like that. So he's the veteran guy, and I just like the makeup where this team's coming to, especially coming into the draft, especially with Steve Yzerman at the helm, especially with draft choices. One of the things that I don't know that might have slipped underneath the radar is Amadeus Lombardi, who played in Flint Generals or Flint Firebirds. They got beat out. So this train keeps rolling. The Simon Edvinsons, see 9 games of him. Elmer Soderblom cracked the lineup early on, goes down. He's only going to develop. We got guys. Yep. It's going to be competitive, and we haven't even talked about what's going to go on in the draft
this year because you got a bunch of picks, bunch of caps. So we'll see what they do. But we're going to go to break. We're going to go to our friends at Lady Jane's. But when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the Red Wings sliding into the draft lottery. What does this mean for next year? Could this be their last time, hopefully, entering the draft lottery? And we got our special Ask D-Mac. But before we do, we're going to go to our friends at Lady Jane's.
Into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically enter for your chance to win not one, but 2 vehicles of your choice, courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. That's right, 2 cars, one for you, one for your wife, your girlfriend, or your best bud. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime, sign in, sit down, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Let one of our talented award-winning stylists make you look handsome and clean. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, it's wicked awesome.
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
Welcome back, Chompin Puck here on a Saturday, flying through. We just talked about some of the great things and, what had happened this year, a little bit of a year in review. Touching on the draft and the draft lottery and the position that the Wings have put themselves in, they have which percentage?
I want to say it was like a 2 or 3%. Like, it's very slim to get that first pick, but I did see something funny. We had, it was one of the Winged Wheel guys put something on there, showed a picture that after the Red Wings lost the other day, he was like, ran his first mock draft. And
we won?
Yeah, he won.
So they're saying there's a chance.
There's a chance. That's what we're getting at.
Well, you know that Gary Bettman's not going to allow the Wings to get the first overall pick, so we're not even going to go there. Hopefully, and with Fantilli out of Michigan, who won the Hobie Baker freshman sides and stuff like that, you really want one of the first 2 picks. Other than that, right, you're not going to wherever you pick, you trust Steve Yzerman. The biggest thing is the assets that he has. Is he going to use them and move for a restricted free agent or somebody else? We do not know. That's why we'll wait down to the draft. Once the draft lottery comes out and the bingo balls go into effect, we'll talk a little bit more. We'll do some draft coming up, but let's get into it. Let's do the Ask D-Mac segment right now as we roll. So what do you got for me today, boys?
All right, this was the first question. This was from our boy Kyle. Who was always a ladies' man from your playing days in hockey?
You're looking at him.
Besides yourself, that is.
No, dude. Well, score goals, you want money. Get scars, you want the girls. But you got to get, dude. And ladies' man, meaning just has in a smooth, round girl, right? Mm-hmm. The Bulldog, Martin Lapointe, the French guy. The French guy. They already. Him and Dandy. They're already smooth. They're more comfortable talking to girls than they are guys. So it's just the way it is. You can't compete with that. But the Bulldog, Marty Lapointe, he's a dude.
Yeah. All right, so this is right up your alley now, D-Mac. This is where you've been at. Tell us about your first time being a part of a wrestling performance, and how were you able to do it?
Well, a lot of most of the wrestling performances, and then even going back to doing, I think it was a Monday Night Raw back in the day where I broke a hockey stick over Bob Holly, who tried. I took it away from him because he was going to hit out D'Lo Brown. Can't hit D'Lo Brown with the sticks. And D-Mac got it, broke it over him, and he. That's the first one. That actually is on Peacock. On Mike Knuble, Matthew Dandino, and myself were there. I've been to so many events when Stone Cold ran the Zamboni into the ring and stuff.
No.
Up until how does it happen? I just throw it out there because I show up, and anybody who knows the independent scene, across the country, especially the death matches, is I'm there. My son Tommy Vendetta, the Level Psychopath, my tag team Midwest Scum. I'm all around, and I'm all about the storylines, Michael. So if the story makes sense, and next thing you know, you got Bully Ray Dudley putting you through a table on a pay-per-view sacrifice over in Windsor for Impact Wrestling, and you're doing a 6-man tag team with guys you idol like Tommy Dreamer. Yeah. It's just to show you that manifest reality. How does it come apart? By just letting everybody know that you want to do it.
Yeah. And the funny thing about that is, obviously, I knew you were going to that event, but I had no idea that you were actually participating. You just told me that you were going to watch. So I think the Red Wings were playing that night, and then I'm just scrolling through Twitter later on in the night, and then I just see the video.
Well, a lot of times,
what the hell? This guy was just answering my text like 2 hours ago, and I was getting slammed through a table.
And you know what? I'm always up for a challenge or whatever else. So it comes together. A lot of times it's hey, we want you to be a part of it. Are you down? And I'm like, yeah. So it's usually that's the conversation until figure out what makes sense. So yeah, every now and then.
No, that was awesome, and I love seeing all the new things that you get interpreted in, especially the wrestling. It's awesome. But last question: how can we help your boy Chris Osgood get to the Hockey Hall of Fame?
Carey Price gets in beforehand, I swear.
That's the biggest joke there is, and I'm not even going to get upset over it right now. Hopefully that it will work out. But 400 wins, back top 2 cups, win a third. I don't care about anything else. It's one of the biggest injustices.
Yeah.
That I believe. Now I'm a little too close. I'm a little too biased, but that's how I feel. So how do you do it? I mean, just keep writing hate mail to Gary Bettman, I guess. Right, the hockey. I don't know who makes the decision, but just keep putting it out there.
Do you think there's any outlier as to why he might not be in?
Well, it's because an outlier to character or anything like that. Absolutely not.
Yeah,
there's no outlier.
I don't see it.
Here, you see Chris Osgood on Bally Sports every day, and the best part about it is you get to see his personality, and you see why when I say he's the biggest the biggest practical joker in the room. Well, you see the way he treats Keating. No, I just think it's disrespect. It's disrespect because it's you know what it is? It's a little 12-year-old Chrissy Osgood. He can't be that good. He played enough for all these teams. You still got to keep the goddamn puck out of the net. We didn't allow 0 goal shots on net. Anyways.
No, I agree. You got to get Ozzy in there, and like you said, everything they do at Valley.
Well, the 2 things in the rewrite in the world, right? And I'll stand on the Osgood Hall of Fame first, but is it time for Sergei to go in the Raptors? I'll do that for Spenny, and I believe it is, and hopefully all in due time.
All right. Well, that's going to do it with D-Mac today.
All right, I'm out of here because you know what, guy? Here's the one thing. Sometimes you got to let the baby birds run the roost. I'm not the only one that knows hockey or talks hockey, so the boys, when we come back from break, it'll be all them. Be nice to them. Yeah. And we'll see you next week. D-Mac out.
Welcome back to Chompin Puck. I am Michael Gentry. That is Spenmo Rack.
What up, though?
Filling in for D-Mac. We had Derek Lalonde and Steve Yzerman's press conference today, which was very interesting, a lot of good things to take away from it, a lot of things that you may have some questions on, and we'll get to that. But First, we're going to start off with the Red Wings' biggest offseason needs. And I'm going to give you 4 options, Spencer. You can pick between whichever one. You can double up if you really feel like that.
Okay.
But the first one is going to be for offseason needs. 1 to 2C, that one first line center, second line center. Second option is a right-handed D, or a deadly goal scorer, or a backup goalie.
Ooh, those are all good options. Obviously, you need to address them. You need to address them all, really. But I'm gonna go obviously the deadly goal scorer. It's really what this team is missing. It's what this team has been missing for a couple years now. You don't have that guy that is a 40 goal scorer on this team. So I don't think there's one out there unless, you can fuck around and try to give DeBrincat a big contract, and then they wouldn't be able to match that. So that could be something. Other than that, the free agent class is kind of weak. It's kind of there's not really any big names that would jump out at you. Backup goalie is also something that needs to be addressed because Ned's gone.
This one I had a really tough time with because as much as you need 1 to 2C, you do need a deadly goal scorer, and you could kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, should I say? Getting both of those.
Get 2 birds stoned at once.
Yeah, but I think I'm going to go deadly goal scorer too, because just the fact that obviously you want Kasper to bloom into that 1 to 2C, or you hope rather that he blooms into that.
Yeah.
But if you get a deadly goal scorer right now, and then you get Kopp coming out next year, and hopefully he's a little more healthier. He has battled one of the hardest injuries to come back from. Mm-hmm. So as much as you kind of want to downplay how his season went, you got to put that into context when it comes to that.
Doubt.
But I think I'm going to go deadly goal scorer just for what I said. I mean, you want Kasper to bloom into that 1 to 2C, but I think if you can get someone that can immediately put pucks in the net starting next year, obviously you wanted that with Verana, but it didn't really pan out that way. Mm-hmm. So you kind of got to replace that. And as far as that goes, I in right-handed D, that
you got a couple on the pipeline.
You got a couple on the pipeline, and I don't think you're not probably bringing back Lindstrom.
Yeah.
So I think that could definitely be handled in the free agency. I wouldn't throw an entire bag, obviously, at your first right-handed D-man that comes to mind. But, yeah, I'm going deadly goal scorer.
It's the biggest need, man. You've got a team full of guys that would complement well right now, and you expect some more guys to come up. You expect, like you said, Kasper, hopefully he can bloom into that 1-2C. You expect Soderblom to get in here and to do something next year. You expect guys to come up and make things happen. But you don't have that elite talent, that elite goal scorer, that guy that you can pencil in every year, 40 goals, 50 goals, whatever it is. And that is something, if you want to be a team that competes with the big boys, you're going to need.
Yep.
Because if you have a guy like that, like you have a Matthews, you have a Pasternak, you have somebody that you're like, all right, we're not getting shut out.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to get shut out. We're going to at least get one in the net because we know he's going to be fighting. He's going to be throwing pucks at the net every time. And obviously those guys aren't just, you can't pick them off trees. Yeah. They're not just all over the place. But exactly. That's what Stevie's got to address, and he's going to. He's going to get somebody in here that's going to be able to put the puck in the back of the net.
Yeah, and just like as far as our team goes, like when teams game plan for us, the first person that's on their list is definitely Dylan Larkin, and then you can kind of go down from there. But there's not that dangerous goal scorers that teams are going out of their way to worry about or out of their way to check. It's definitely the biggest need. But we're switching topics now. We're going to your guy. This is your guy, Spencer. You've brought him up multiple times, no matter if it's on Big D Energy, Monday through Friday, 11 to 1, or if it's on the heavyweights, or if it's on this show. Mm-hmm. You've been all over this. The Red Wings with Michael Rasmussen.
Yes.
27, 21, and 8. Without him, 8, 15, and 2. This was all noted by Ken Cal on last night's broadcast. But
shout out.
Yeah, when you break it down like that, it was obvious after Ras went out and you seen the Ottawa series, the physicalness of our team, it went way down. No one was really fighting back, and we just lost an edge. Mm-hmm. And obviously you've seen a guy like Andrew Kopp that I did bring up that he was struggling throughout this season, but you've seen him sort of bloom with Rasmussen, and then when you've seen him kind of get taken out, it kind of lost a little bit. So Rasmussen is one of the biggest pieces moving forward for this team. Obviously, he's not going to be lighting up the score sheet, but just what he brings that physical element, and without him, you've seen how big of a hole this team has.
Yeah, he is such an important piece for this team, not only on the 5-on-5, but in the PK. Like, he is a big part of that. Yep. He's one of the best penalty killers on the team. He, like you said, he's a big body. He's learning how to play the wing now even better, and he's getting more comfortable out there because he has less responsibilities than when he's playing center. Yeah. He can go out there, he can use his body, he can throw it around, he can be more aggressive on the forecheck, and it's impressive to watch him when he's playing because he's not just a net front presence big dude goon that you're going to put out there. He does that well as a net front presence, but he's got some mitts, he's got some finesse to his game, and I love when Rass is out there. It feels like a different team when he's in the lineup, and rightfully so. You got the numbers on what they look like when he is and isn't in the lineup. It's imperative to get him back. Hopefully, like you said, him and Kopp were playing really well together. Yeah. They had really good chemistry, and that could be such an important second line or third line, whatever it shakes down to next year.
And I agree with what you said. He definitely needs to be on the wing. You're seeing a different element on the offensive side when he was at wing. He's playing less defensive, getting more of those battles behind the net, in front of the net. So I really, really like seeing him on the wing. And when I was just speaking about like them missing his size, they really missed a lot of people's size. Yeah. Obviously, to start the year, you had Soderblom, you had Sundqvist, and I think it was Rasmussen all playing on one line.
The Redwoods.
The huge line. We didn't really have any of that towards the end of the season. Obviously, you ship pieces off to get some stuff in return to build for next year. But those are the type of things that you're going to need to replace. You're going to need Ras to be fully healthy next year. You're going to need to get another agitator in there because with the way they ended the season, and even Derek Lalonde brought it up today, he was like, I wish I would have seen more fight, or they were getting pushed around a little more than I would have liked, rather. So that is one of like my biggest key points is even if you do bring in a high big goal scorer or whatever, that's just another player that you're going to need to protect because the way some of these players were getting bullied last year, you are not going to be able to want that season from season. You're going to need to get that agitator in there to protect some of these guys. So
and that's such a good point. Like, I was so excited to watch that Redwoods line, what they were calling it, with Sonny, Soderblom, and Rass. And obviously, like you said, you move on from Sonny because he was something you can get a piece from at the Ted line. He's a guy a contending team would want. And Rass and Soderblom ended up getting injured and not finishing the season, so you didn't have any size out there. Yeah. Because at the beginning of the year, you're like, holy shit, nobody wants to go up against these guys for a minute and a half on the ice. Like, are you kidding me? These three giants, they're going around there playing hard and all skilled as well. Like, Sonny isn't the most skilled, but Soderblom and Rass they're very skilled for their size. So
Rass especially, man. And Soderblom, I think, will eventually get there. He's still very young, and he has to groom into a lot of things. But, like, for him to be his size, and even though we only seen him for a short stint downtown, but what he showed is pretty crazy, and you don't see that much at the forward position with that size, and you gotta love it. All right, now we're going to another interesting topic that I had. They talked about Lucas Raymond a lot in this press conference. Steve Yzerman brought up some things. He said he thinks very highly of him, and there was a lot of things that he took away from it that were good things. And meanwhile, Coach Lalonde said there's a lot of room for growth, and he did have Raymond kind of got shied away from a lot of things because of David Perron, taking those power play 1 minutes, taking some top line minutes away from him. Is there any worries that you have for Lucas Raymond? You got to think he's only 20 years old. Like, he doesn't have size like that, but he's got all the skill, and he's got all the things that could really bloom him into a superstar. So personally, I'm not too worried, but I wanted to get your thoughts on it.
I'm not worried about him at all. Like you said, he's got all the skill. He's still so young. You need to put pieces around this team to benefit guys like that. Like you said, we can't have the later year Kenny Holland teams where you're throwing out a Nyquist and a Tatar and all these small guys that are trying to go around. You need some big dudes. You need an agitator to insulate your guys like a Larkin, like a Raymond, like other guys like that are going to go out there and be the skill guys. So he was definitely missing some of that presence on the team where it did seem like he was getting bullied, and it did seem like he was getting pushed off his spots. But he will learn from that. He will get better. He will learn how to do things like that in the league. And having a guy like Henrik Zetterberg around the team, who is not a big guy, he's not a physical guy by any means, but he protected the puck better than anybody I've ever seen in my entire life. And having him, I think, will help Raymond so much because he could show him some tips on what to do, how to protect yourself, how to make your way, carve out some space on the ice for you when you're not the biggest guy. And it's the youth factor, man. He got thrown into this because of injuries and took off his rookie season. This year, you could say he took a step back if you want to, but I wouldn't say a step back. He just didn't show the growth that we were all expecting as much, but it's still there, and he's going to be a great player for a long time.
And he was still right around 20 goals. He gets 40-some points, so that's not to shy away from. I mean, obviously you wanted a little bit more, but you really, with the situation that was dealt, I don't think you can complain about it. And I like that you brought up Henrik Zetterberg because Zetterberg, just like another veteran that they have on this team, one that they just said was taking some shine away from Lucas Raymond, is David Perron. And that is one of the perfect people for Lucas Raymond to learn by, because just like Henrik Zetterberg, David Perron uses his body very well. You've seen it a lot. Actually, towards the end of the season, he pulled the Henrik Zetterberg, I want to say like 3 or 4 times, holding the one dude with him. That is one of the perfect people from for Lucas Raymond to learn from. And get better on the power play too. You've seen how dangerous David Perron, even this late in his career, he's still dangerous on the power play. He can still do those little things. He can slow down the play. He can put the puck in the back of the net, and he knows how to dish it. There's like no better way for Lucas Raymond to bloom into that first line than to be playing behind David Perron. So.
And especially next year when you're looking at the size that we already know is going to be in this lineup with Edvinsson, Seider, Rasmussen, and Soderblom. Like, those aren't guys that you're just going to push around anymore. I'd like to see Mo get a little chippier. I'd like to see Mo start punching dudes in the face.
I do want to see it. I want to see Mo fight so bad.
You don't want the Mantha thing. Like, you don't want him to get hurt, break a hand, something bad in a fight. But, like, he's your size. Him and Edvinsson right now are your size. And I understand they're still young. They're both mild-mannered guys, but I want to see them get a little scrappy next year.
Yeah. I got to ask you something. Who are you more anticipated to see fight now? Casper or Seider? Because like Casper is that agitator, and you've seen in the one game that he played. Obviously, we wish he played more, but you've seen in that one game he was getting right into it, like didn't miss a beat. And then Seider, you already know his aggressive side. He lays people out all game, and then when they try and retaliate, he doesn't punch them back, and he'll take shots to the face because he doesn't want to go to the penalty box. His team this year couldn't afford for him to go to the penalty box. So like, ooh man.
I'm going Mo, man. Just, like, how big he is. He's like a German assassin, dude. Just quiet, angry. Like, I feel like he could just go out there and like a switch is gonna flip in his mind. He's gonna lay some dude out on the ice. His teammate's gonna come in because the NHL is soft nowadays, and people try to fight over clean hits if it's a big hit. So he's gonna lay some dude out. One of his teammates is gonna come and try to protect him. He's going to hit Mo in the face. Something's going to snap, and Mo's going to beat the shit out of somebody. Like, I'm just so excited to see it.
No, I agree. And one thing I wanted to talk about is, like, I wonder how that's going to, like, actually happen. Like, is it going to be one of those Mo Seider hits where he just knocks them the hell out and then someone has to forcefully come in? Or you see Mo, he does have sort of a temper. When you see him game to game, you can see he's getting a little pissed. Is he just finally going to break out of that shell, or is he going to be more forced into it? Like, is he going to initiate it, or is someone else, and he's going to have to just stick up for himself?
I think he's going to have to, like I said, like, he's those reverse checks and open ice checks that he hits on people are nasty.
He's going to destroy us. He's one of the best ever at doing that. Like, the reverse hit, like, you did see a lot about it more back in the day, but like as the game kind of has moved forward and progressed, you don't see that as much. And I feel like Mo is kind of one of those players that's bringing that back out. So I love that.
He's going to take somebody off their skates. Their bench is going to get all salty about it, and someone's going to come and hit him in the mouth a couple times, and he's going to snap, and he's going to put somebody on the ice cold.
I give it literally 10 games, though, into Marco Kasper's career next year that he drops the glove to someone. He's going to get someone so mad. You just seen, like, stints of it within that Toronto game. He was just pissing everyone off.
Scrappy, and with a broken kneecap,
and what a pick. Like, what a pick. That is, like, got to be one of the most exciting things that you could be looking forward to is, like, did the Red Wings finally find that guy, that 1-2 to back up Dylan Larkin?
Yeah.
And another person, I don't know how much you keep up with the Flint Firebirds, but Amadis Lombardi, he's been buzzing, and he looks insane.
He's got called up, right?
Yeah, to the Griffins. So he gets to play the final 2 games with the Griffins, like, and he's got a lot of speed to him, plays center, he can score, so, like, these are just slowly putting the pieces together to Yzerman's plan, and man, I don't think you can complain at all.
No, we knew it wasn't going to happen overnight.
No,
it took him 8 years in Tampa to get the cup, so it's going to take some time. And now you see the fruits of the labor. It started with Mo, and Raymond was forced into it, and now you're seeing the Kaspers. Now you're seeing the Evansons. Now you're seeing other guys come up. He finds gold in a Bergeron and different players and a Wallman, and you've got your captain locked down. So it's going to get scary. They're going to be a playoff team next year. I'm extremely excited to watch them, and I can't wait for Hockeytown to be back and be rocking.
Oh, 100%. All right, I have one more topic. I wrote a blog about this last week. It blew up on our social medias, all over platforms. I just asked a simple question. I didn't put my input actually into it. I just wanted to see, because I've been browsing Twitter, Boston Bruins Twitter to be exact, and I've seen a lot of mixed reactions with how we would feel about this person as to how they feel about this person. So Tyler Bertuzzi, I put, did the Red Wings undervalue him? This thing got over, I think it was 200K views on Twitter or something like that, and not even counting Facebook or whatever like that. And we got some mixed emotions, or mixed answers rather. You had some people saying, yeah, they did just because of what he meant, and then the other people were like, hell no, because we're not going to pay him whatever the hell he wants. Even though Boston, it's still very early and they're on a playoff run, so you can't expect them to lay this out. But they said they don't even know the number yet, and they haven't even talked about it. So, like, you can't say it's a high number if you don't know that. You could judge off of what he supposedly wanted for the Red Wings, but those contract talks ended so long ago you didn't even know where the number was at after his injury. So I just want to get your answer on that. Did they undervalue him, or did they was the trade good rather, or did they undervalue him?
The trade was good. Stevie's not going to undervalue anybody. He knows what you bring, but he's not going to overvalue anybody either. And if the rumors were true that he was asking for $7-8 million a year, that is too much money for a guy like Tyler Bertuzzi. I love Bert, man. I loved watching him play. Everybody in the locker room loved him. Obviously, Larkin loved him. They were together for their entire careers up until a couple months ago. And it sucks, but it's a business, and you can't just lose him for nothing, because he is a talented player. And his numbers, his assist totals, all of his points look good in Boston, but that's what's going to happen when you go play with a Pasternak and a Marchand and a Bergeron. You're playing with some of the best, most talented hockey players in the world. Your numbers are going to be beefed up a little bit than if you're playing with, no offense, Dylan Larkin and Lucas Raymond. It's just what happens.
I agree with that. Because obviously Pasternak and all of Boston, they have 3 stack lines. Like, any of them could come be our second line probably any day of the week. But as far as it goes that he is playing with better players, I do agree with that. I 120% agree Tyler Bertuzzi is playing with better players in Boston. But it just kind of caught my eye that even the good players that top line in Boston has played with, they want Tyler Bertuzzi. All the fans are saying to keep Bertuzzi with Pasternak. So I just think that, even though the Red Wings got a good trade back, they did sort of undervalue what he brings. I want to say that, too. But I just think, his specific position and, what he brings to that Boston line, I think he will be worth whatever they give them just because of the way he plays. They have all the talent on that line, and they need a person like Bertuzzi, and they need a person that's feeding Pasternak all game, that's going to grind and get in front of the net. And then you've seen him stick up for Pasternak after the whistle. He flew out there and knocked someone on his ass just like he used to do for Dylan Larkin. So Boston fans are going crazy for him, and I can kind of see where they're coming from, because I loved Bertuzzi. That was my guy, and everything that he brought. I loved him and Dylan Larkin as a combo. I loved him, Dylan Larkin, and Lucas Raymond as a trio. So I could see where they're coming from, where they're saying, we got to keep this man. We got to put him with Pasternak, because he is that perfect fit on the wing, on the opposite wing. So I don't know. I could see both sides of it.
Like you said, man, I loved Bert too. You love what he brings. You love how he plays. He plays with an edge. He does the dirty work. He goes in there and he stands up for you guys. How many times did we see him do that in Detroit, where somebody's fucking with Larkin after the whistle. He comes up and he stones him.
Most notably, the one game where Larkin punched Joseph in the face, and then Bertuzzi came right, grabbed his ass by the neck, and brought him down.
Yeah,
so, like,
it's awesome, and every team needs a player like that. That is a guy that it's perfect for what Boston did. Like, they were a fantastic team looking to make a deep playoff run, and they add a piece like that to just solidify everything. Yeah. Like, he's not going to be one of the guys that is, your top scorer, like that isn't where he's at his best. He's at his best where he is right now, when he's insulated by extremely good talent, and it brings out the best of him, and he can play to his strengths rather than being forced to be a 35 goal scorer, which is what we wanted out of him in Detroit.
I feel like he kind of can just set back and play his role, as to where Detroit, he was asked to do more than, I don't want to say he was asked to do more, but he just had a way different role. Obviously, he was still that agitator. He was still backing up Larkin, doing all that stuff. But, like, now I feel like he doesn't have to feel that pressure to score. Yeah. He's more of setting up. And obviously, Dylan Larkin scored a lot of goals, and they did the same thing that we're talking about with him and Pasternak. But it's just different extents when you're playing with a team like Boston.
Yeah.
But ultimately, at the end of the day, Bertuzzi's contract with Boston will all depend on how he plays throughout the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, he can have this hot streak with Pasternak to end the season where he's getting 2-3 points a game or whatever the hell it was, but he needs to play through the playoffs. If he comes out and duds in the playoffs, which I doubt will happen just because how good Boston is, he's not going to get paid, and he's going to be right back to square one like he was in Detroit.
They got Florida in the first round, man.
And that's not an easy team.
It's not an easy
by any
team.
means.
Yeah.
And, like, they have some size, and they can go right up with those Boston guys. And as good as Boston is, it's any given night when it comes to NHL playoff hockey.
Yes, sir.
You see it with Toronto and Tampa, which is going to be my favorite series. I'm so excited for playoff hockey.
Tampa in 5.
Tampa in 5.
Tampa in 5. Fuck Toronto.
I think it'll end up probably going to 7, but I do think Tampa takes that. Yeah. And I do think my Rangers beat the Devils. That's probably going to be one of the funnest series to watch. There's probably going to be goals on goals on goals.
And the vicinity rivalry of New York and Jersey. Just
our guy Maz is probably going to have a field day watching that show. My boys from Jersey.
Yeah, dude, Maz is going to love it for sure. That'll be a great series. There's going to be a lot of great series. The NHL playoffs are so great because it's so even. There is no team, like, even when you have a 3-win team,
they can lose a 7-game series just because of like how the matchup goes. Just because they did so well against all these other teams, it's just how you play against this team for 7 games.
Yeah,
and any team can come up and sweep under your feet, and
nobody knows that better than D-Mac.
That is fact.
The President's Trump curse is real, man.
Yeah, I don't think they get bounced in the first round. I would like to think that they would get past Florida, but I'm not confident to say with how the NHL has been this year that they're just going to run through anyone, no matter how good they've been this year. I think the NHL, this year has been one of those years that, like, obviously you have Colorado that struggled in the beginning, but then they bounce back towards late. You have Vegas. You have LA that, I don't think a lot of people really at the beginning of the season would have put LA or had them doing as good as they would. And then you got the Minnesota, Seattle. Like, there's a lot of teams that are very good, and it's not. I don't think there's like one team that you can just be like they're winning the cup. Yeah. Even if that is like the Boston Bruins. Like, there is no team like back in the day, like the past couple of years, you knew when Tampa was going to come win that cup. Like, that was theirs. So, like,
this year it's wide open. It's wide open. I'm excited.
Yep. But that's going to do it for us today. I am Michael Gentry. That is your boy Spenmo Rex. Heavyweights 5 to 7 every week. You got to check them out. Can't miss it. But for now, we're out of here. We'll catch you next week. Chompin' Puck.
Saturdays at 1 p.m. Make sure you're watching WoodwardSports.com for our new show, Chompin' Puck.
He shoots! He scores!
With 4-time Stanley Cup champion Darren McCarty and Michael Gentry, Chompin' Puck is taking the Detroit hockey community and giving them a voice. Pros to Joes. You'll get the best Detroit hockey coverage around. Chompin' Puck. Saturdays 1 p.m. on WoodwardSports.com.